Each of us has our own unique background and story of how we became a part of Chiefs Kingdom.
Our reach is far and wide, with fans all over the world cheering on our Kansas City Chiefs.
Everyone donning the red and gold has figuratively signed that mutual agreement and come together for one common purpose.
For 76,000 of us at a time, to descend upon Arrowhead, man our stations, let out our loudest battle cry to the tune of 142.2 decibels, and make that stadium rock until our opponents beg for mercy.
We are unrelenting in our pride for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the allies, Arrowhead Allies.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's WrestleMania season. Major League Baseball, it's Royals opening day on Thursday, but guess what? The Arrowhead Allies are here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to continue to bask in the glory of being a Super Bowl champion and to vault onto the way here as we enter a new league season here. 2023 is upon us. The draft is a month away, and so the Arrowhead Allies are gathered here upon you, upon your naked, steaming eyes, as David Lee Roth would say, to kind of hammer this home. Guys, it's great to be here. Mecole Matthew, the Money Badger, will be joining us from Hollywood, California soon. Brian B. Shinan, as always, Hot 103 Jams. Shane Williams, Shaggy Shane Entertainment, my partner from Starcade Media, Noah Groniger. Guys, how's everybody doing? This is like we could all just sing Kumbaya around a campfire or something right now. What else do you do when the Chiefs are Super Bowl champs? We got no complaints in this world.
It's been a fun 6 weeks. I got to tell you, since the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, we know the draft's going to be right here. They're expecting over 1 million people in Kansas City, hitting the streets around Union Station for that whole weekend, April 27th, 28th, 29th. It's exciting. The Chiefs have signed a series of one-year contracts to a group of gentlemen that we will break down here shortly. There's still concerns that I will get to as well. I'm sure Brian and Noah, and when Mecole comes on, they'll break it down as well. But, we're definitely excited. We're the world champs. Everything feels good. The new rules are put in place that we're going to probably talk about tonight that they've been talking about in Arizona at the owners meeting. It's awesome. What do you say, Brian?
Man. So what do you do in the off season as a true Kansas City? You get out your claps. Let's go Royals.
Oh, I can't.
That's what you do. Come on now.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Kansas City Royals baseball season coming up, baby. All right. Bobby Witt Jr. Come on, man. We got a superstar on the team, baby. And plus, we're going to have those beautiful all sky blue uniforms coming our way to celebrate the 50th anniversary of those. Come on, man. That's what you do in the off season. KU, they got dusted off. Missouri, they lost. They had a good season, though. K-State, they couldn't make it to the Final Four. It's Royal season, baby. What's happening?
Man, hey, you're right in a way. I mean, what else is there? I mean, it's concert season for me. I'll say that. It's concert season.
And the Kansas City Current, too. Let's not forget about them.
Oh, I definitely forgot about them. I'm sorry, Brittany Mahomes.
Lord.
I got a Pat Mahomes senior rookie baseball card right here. So
that's nice.
This is my tribute to baseball. Pat Mahomes senior rookie baseball card.
Was that the Twins? Was he a rookie with the Twins? And
yes,
what
sir.
year? What year?
1992.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my tribute to the Major League Baseballs right now.
Silky P.
I love that Silky P played for like at least 7 or 8 franchises. He made the rounds.
Mets, Rangers,
Cubs,
Expos, Pirates.
He made the rounds. I love that.
Yeah. He made the rounds. He was a good player. He was 9-0 in 1999. He was a pivotal piece of helping the Newark Mets get to the National League Championship Series, but the Braves ended up closing it out in that year. But that was a great year for Pat Mahomes. He also hit over 350 with 4 doubles as a pitcher, which wasn't very likely for pitchers to hit doubles in 1999.
I love this, Shane. That's great. And I tell you what, Noah and I have uncovered another cool piece of trivia for you guys. You guys are going to like this. Patrick Mahomes was born on, I believe, September 17th, 1995.
Yes.
We don't have a graphic for this, but that same day,
the Giants.
Chiefs, no, close. Raiders. James Hasty pick 6 to win it. So Patrick Mahomes was born on one of the more iconic Chiefs Raiders games in history in September 17th, 1995. So Yeah, that's just stuff that Noah and I do during the offseason as we figure stuff like that out. So
I was at that game.
Rams game was the next week, right? That was like week 3.
No, Giants was week 2.
Week
and
2.
Raiders was week 3.
Oh, it was the week before.
That was
Yeah.
like Browns Cardinals after that.
We were all season ticket holders then, weren't we? We were all season ticket holders then in 95, weren't we? I know I was.
We
were like 10.
I was 25.
Hey man, look, in 1995, I was living in Village Green. Wasn't no way in hell was getting no season tickets, baby. We was just dreaming of that.
Yeah, I got to go to like the Oilers game that year, and it was the best moment of my life. Yeah,
that was a good
that was
game.
it.
He knocked the ball out of his Tom McNair's hands.
Yeah.
And Mark Collins ran it in. Great season. Didn't end well, but
It was.
How did that end? I forget. I'm not.
oh yeah,
I don't remember.
Let's quickly forget. Even though Starcade has a bunch of videos reminding us this week.
We've only interviewed every former Chief about it.
Right. Hey, man, props to you guys. Those were some great interviews. To get James Hasty to speak that candidly about the fall of the 1995 season, I recommend, and I will continue to recommend everybody to Starcade Media, because you guys, Noah and Clint, you guys were able to reach in and get Steve Bono, Lynn Elliott, James Hasty to open up about heartbreak. That isn't easy. I was kind of cringing while you're asking the questions as well, but you guys weren't afraid to ask the tough questions. And the fact that you got those gentlemen to open up about playoff heartbreak, props to you, man. Good stuff. So everybody keep checking out Starcade Media moving forward.
Yeah, we had Marcus Allen talk about that 95 game in 97. He said he didn't want to talk about the 95 game before we went on the air. But of course, I had to bring it back up. I was like, we're here. We're talking about this. We're talking about the Chiefs. This may be the only time we have Marcus. He's tough to get a hold of. So we had to ask him about it. And he went on to talk about the devastation and how the plaza was a ghost town. And
Marcus Allen Broadway Ford was a ghost town.
Man,
is that still
I tried to make my mom test drive a car there just so I could get an autograph.
In January 1996, I was 26 and you guys were all 10, right?
Yeah, somewhere right in 11.
I was definitely 10. Yeah.
So,
we've got a question here from Steve Harold. What are some lower tier receivers that the Chiefs might look at? It's a good question because a lot of them are gone.
Justin Watson's
gone. Mecole Hardman's gone.
The guys who are on the team, and I thought about this with this receiver group too. I look, besides D-Hop and OBJ, who it's a legitimate thing that the Chiefs are interested in him. I don't think the Chiefs are looking at too many other people at wide receiver. I think they're content, and they're trying to develop Sky Moore, and they believe in Kadarius Toney. And you should. You gave a draft capital for him, and you drafted Sky Moore in the second round. And this is year 2 for him, and this is year 2 for Kadarius in his offense. So yes, you have to you got to kind of push your chips to the table. Last year, guys, you all were concerned. A lot of you, Noah and Clint, you guys were concerned about the cornerbacks.
Absolutely.
And my thing was, man, let those guys play. The sharks are born in the water. I'm a true believer of that, and I got to stick with that. And I think that what Brett Veach is doing.
We don't have any sharks.
You don't know that. You don't know that. Yeah,
I think Sky Moore right now.
I think Sky Moore can dog somebody out. I think if with the right coaching in year 2, he'll be more comfortable in the system. They'll open the playbook up more for him. When he got an opportunity on offense, now Sky Moore was looking good. When he got the opportunities, when those players were right to him, he took advantage of those opportunities. He didn't get very many of them. But I think that's what Brett Veach is doing. And I think it would stunt the growth of Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney if you went out and you got some lower level other receivers. And I think that's what Veach is doing.
Well, you got to get somebody because we don't have enough people to field a team here. This is last year's receivers in receiving yards. Obviously, Juju, MVS, Justin Watson, then Mecole, Sky, and Kadarius Toney. And we go to this next graphic. 3 of those guys are gone now. So it's just MVS, Sky, Toney. And then, we've got Justin Ross, John Ross, some other guys on the practice squad hanging around here. But we need somebody else. And I think we need somebody else to bring something to this offense, like a DeAndre Hopkins. And if that's going to stunt Sky Moore's growth, then so be it. Stunt the growth. I need DeAndre.
I'll say this. I don't think you would stunt Sky Moore or any Justin Ross or Kadarius Toney's growth if if and when the Chiefs do trade for DeAndre Hopkins, because DeAndre Hopkins is the number one wide receiver. And with what he can bring to the team, I know people might say, well, he's wasn't the same the last couple of years. He was on a PED suspension, which really doesn't mean anything. DeAndre Hopkins can bring so much to the table that I feel like it's something that's going to happen. I know 2 years ago at this time, we all said after the Chiefs missed out on Trent Williams 48 hours after training camp began, there was this talk among just Chiefs fans, just us, not experts, not Nate Taylor, not anybody in the media, not anybody for Arrowhead Pride. People just said, well, what about making a trade for Orlando Brown and moving him to left tackle? And we all talked about it. And then it started to make too much sense. We all talked about it. What they do for Orlando Brown, because they're left tackle, we're not to revamp this offensive line to where we were at the time. There wasn't going to be a left tackle that you were going to start as a rookie. So long story short, there was enough people talking about Orlando Brown coming to Kansas City that a week before the draft, that trade took place. I look for that exact same scenario to happen now, especially since the Arizona Cardinals have give DeAndre Hopkins a chance to his agent to talk to other teams about
have an agent. It's just DeAndre.
Oh, and I'll give you two more examples of that too, Shane.
Okay.
Three actually, and they're cornerbacks. I remember talking to Patrick Surtain for like 2 seasons.
Yes.
And
Yes.
live it happened.
Yes.
Clint. The same with Ty Law. Talked him up. Jason Whitlock would always talk him up. Finally made it happen in 2006. The last one, Darrell Revis, that happened in 2017. I remember there was a lot of chatter there.
A lot of chatter with Patrick Peterson multiple years, and
Patrick Peterson as well, and that made a lot of sense too. So there's credence to what you're saying, Shane, with fans talking up things and it making just too much sense. And I feel the same way about the D-Hop situation. OBJ, but Nate Taylor reported OBJ, so it's like it's legit. Let Veach slow cook, baby.
Yeah. That's where we're at right now. Noah, what do you think about this draft capital situation that the Cardinals wanted a 2, but it's more like a 4 or a 5 or a 6? I mean, I don't know kind of what's going on right now as far as the hesitancy to use what the Chiefs have an ample picks. And I will maybe touch on this, but a Chris Jones contract extension could free up more cap space. So what's Arizona kind of doing here when it comes to what they want for capital, and what's the hesitancy here? Because I mean, even a second or a third for a receiver like Hopkins, like have them, we got them.
I think the Chiefs know that they're one of really the only teams that is in this race for DeAndre Hopkins. Truthfully, if they're going to play nice with DeAndre and let him kind of negotiate to trade, talk to teams, and figure out where he wants to go. He said he wants to win. We just heard today that the Bills may be out unless something drastic changes. They like their receiver room. So that really only leaves the Chiefs. I mean, we've heard Pac-Man Jones on the Pat McAfee show talk about the Falcons and the Raiders and the Patriots. Patriots already have Juju, and they're not winning anything with Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi at quarterback. The Falcons aren't winning anything, and the Raiders aren't winning anything. DeAndre Hopkins wants to go somewhere and win. And if the Cardinals want to be good to him on his way out and send him to a place that he wants to go to and he's comfortable with, the only place that makes sense is here in Kansas City. And as far as the draft capital, they can want what they want, but Brett Veach knows that they're probably realistically the only team where DeAndre Hopkins wants to go. And so they're going to wait it out and wait for the price to drop. I think it's already dropped. And so I think it is going to be a 4th and maybe a conditional 6th in 2024 or something. So they may get 2 picks, but it's going to be much lower than they thought initially. And then we'll extend Chris Jones and free up the cap and restructure DeAndre Hopkins' contract to make it work for us.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shane. I'm sorry.
What I was just going to say is, and once we hear DeAndre Hopkins' agent has worked out a deal with Brett Veach, they agree on a deal, they agree on the financial terms, that's going to expedite things. I know people are concerned that think it might get ugly like the Jets and the Packers, but that's a whole different situation because you're dealing with Aaron Rodgers and a starting quarterback. But I feel once DeAndre Hopkins' agent gets a deal done with Brett Veach, that's going to expedite, okay, how can we make this work? And I think it'll get done a week before the draft. Go ahead, Brian.
Now I was just laughing at Noah, thinking that the Cardinals want to send DeAndre Hopkins out the door with a smiley face when they don't give a damn about their players. They're the only team in the league that charges for meals. That's according to
Daniel was out there today.
Yeah, no free coffee.
that from who?
From Washington when he was there.
Wow. So that's according to the poll that the NFL players took that the Chiefs didn't grade so well on.
Rick Burkholder, we're looking at you.
Rick Burkholder has to play bad cop, and I love it. Keep doing what you're doing, Chiefs. If you have to rate F on every straw poll and exit interview for the rest of our lives, I don't give a damn.
I wonder if that's even a joke. I wonder if they're just doing it to laugh.
Exactly.
Let's make a really bad grade so everybody will freak out. Because that was funny that day when that news.
I know
he was panicking.
Shane, I'm glad you brought up jokes and hilarity because we did part ways last week with a 4-year player here in Kansas City, Mecole Hardman. And Mecole, he's joining us currently, guys. Mecole, quick question. You played 4 years here. People just love that you were some kind of a gadget player, not a real receiver like the rest of the second round picks, but we were supposed to just be okay with that. Mecole, did the Chiefs offer you anything to stay here and continue your career here? Let's go to Mecole.
Mecole, did Kansas City make an effort to re-sign you?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if they offer anything worth talking about or if they just, was moving on. I don't really know the exact detail. I'm probably pretty sure they probably offered something. But if they did, it probably wasn't nothing that my agent and them thought, to consider.
How does it get lower than 1.5 for 1 year with a $3 million signing bonus? How did the Chiefs offer lower than that?
Wow.
Well, I think it speaks to what we heard about Mecole off the field. It's probably true. The fact that he doesn't take it serious as maybe he should, the fact that he's not in the playbook like he should be, the fact that he didn't really develop into a full-fledged receiver, all of those things combined, as well as him, liking to play video games and, the Kyler Murray type thing. So my point is that there's belief within the organization that Mecole doesn't take football serious. He doesn't study it. He doesn't treat it like, Patrick Mahomes would treat it.
Doesn't put in the extra work. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, I'll get right back to you, Brian.
No, go ahead.
This last season, he was only down there in a contract year. This was the first time he's gone down to Texas with Mahomes and worked out with him. Yeah. He was only there for like a week and left. The other guys stayed. It's just not a good look.
Yeah. But look, okay, so we all got jobs. And the people who work hard, the people who slack off, the people who take it serious. Mecole just wasn't one of them people here.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
You're right.
He has it's a shame because it's like you see all the tools. His hands aren't bad. He has decent hands. Mm-hmm. The speed is there. The route running just isn't. The concentration just isn't. And that was his downfall and his pitfall here in Kansas City. And even like as a Chiefs fan, like you can't put enough tape together for Mecole to warrant him getting a multi-year deal with millions and millions of dollars, because we seen what he does here in Kansas City. He was a product of Andy Reid's system, gadget player, moving horizontally, not necessarily vertically. He could get vertical, but he was more of a gadget player here. And I think that exposed that with what he got from the Jets and the lack of offers that he got from other teams.
Yeah, we've got this here from Kareem, a.k.a. Joe Delaney. So we counting on Tony to stay healthy. Mecole was at least that. Other than this past year, he was out more than half the season. But before that, yeah, he was healthy and you could rely on him. So you can't really say this is a trend. It's kind of a 1-year freak injury thing. I heard it was an off-the-field injury and like ATV or something. No.
Well, specifically with Mecole, I want to thank him for his time in Kansas City for what he did.
Yes.
He did bring. He put his body on the line. He could have easily have shut it down in October when he got hurt and said, I'm playing for a contract year, and he could have started a surgery and procedures then. he did everything he could to get back on the field, and he was a key contributor on a third down conversion in the AFC Championship game, which eventually led to a score. He was injured, just like the rest. The Chiefs that helped us to a world title season. Thank you. Best wishes in New York, but not too many. See you bye. It's time to move forward. Now we got a specific questions to Kadarius Toney and his health. I think and this is kind of my own theory I put together. You guys can agree or disagree. I think with the playoffs being extended now, unless you're the 1 seed, and the regular season now is 17 games, you have to play 17 regular season games plus 3 playoff games before you go to the Super Bowl, unless you get the number 1 seed. So that's a lot of play that these guys are going to have to play. Hear me out before you say, hey, no way, I disagree with that. I myself am good if Kadarius Toney plays 12 regular season games next year, then come January and February, he is healthy. Because I think once players have that injury situation from their early season, it's something that they suffer from. Sammy Watkins, the day he signed his monster contract in Kansas City 5 years ago, a buddy of mine, as soon as the news broke, sent me a text. He lives in Rochester. He said, I see you guys signed a monster contract to Sammy Watkins. I guarantee he's going to pull a hamstring when he's getting off the plane on his arrival in Kansas City. And that's something. But Sammy Watkins obviously showed up in the playoffs in the Super Bowl and won us one. But my point is, these players that are hurt, it's just something we're going to have to deal with. And could it be that with the schedule being so long now that they want more regular season games and longer playoffs unless you're number 1 seed? It's something that we have to take into consideration, or at least think differently on. Because I think if fans are going, come on, Kadarius Toney, play 17 regular season games, play all the playoffs, it's not realistic. I expect Kadarius Toney, just myself, this is my expectation. I'm just going to tame my thought now so I don't get disappointed. Kadarius, give us 12 regular season games and be healthy in the playoffs and Super Bowl, and I'm good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe to a degree. I don't know about 12. 12 seems pretty fair. I'd hope for a little bit more than that, especially right now as the receiver room sits, because we don't have enough bodies. Maybe when the full thing is out and we've got a plethora of other options, maybe a first or second round, although I'm scared of the second round wide receiver, and a DeAndre Hopkins or a Odell Beckham, as Brian scoffs at me there for mentioning second round wide receivers and my disappointment in those guys. But I want to do want to questions. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm not going to sit here and say that your argument against Veach and these second round receivers isn't valid, because it is valid. Like DK Metcalf is better than Mecole Hardman, and Pickens right now is better than Scott Moore. But there's so many things to that. Do they fit? Like those are both mammoth receivers, and you don't see those on the Chiefs team. And I think that has a big part of it. But the second round receiver thing, I think the Chiefs are going to have to get somebody in the draft like this year. There's going to have to be somebody out there that they see, at least one, who could be a game breaker. Because I think that's all that Patrick is missing right now. Because as it stands, I'm not comfortable with this offense going into the season as it stands with the current wide receiver group.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got a couple people in here saying no to D-Hop or OBJ, please. My question back to you, James Kelly's also saying the same thing. That's just my perspective. You know what you can do if you don't agree with it. So you take that for what it is. My question back to you guys is then who?
My feeling is this, if the Chiefs don't take OBJ or trade for D-Hop and we go offensive tackle and defensive line in the first 2 rounds, we seriously have to think that the Chiefs are definitely considering Kadarius Toney and Justin Ross to develop. Now, Justin Ross was an undrafted rookie free agent last year that was on injured reserve, just like Byron Pringle in 2018. He was an undrafted rookie free agent. He spent his entire rookie season on injured reserve. Byron Pringle got to see Patrick Mahomes in 2018 throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. And he knew, wow, Patrick Mahomes has got all these weapons. For me to make this team, I'm going to have to learn how to play special teams. I'm going to have to be a gunner on punts and kickoffs and become a punt returner just for Byron Pringle to make the team in 2019. And he did that. I don't believe with Justin Ross's injury issues that he's going to be asked to play gunner on special teams and do kickoff returns. I think that they believe that Justin Ross can be a premier wide receiver. I say that now if we don't make the necessary trades for DeAndre Hopkins or address wide receiver early in the draft. Because if they don't, guys, we're going to be sitting here next month thinking, wow, they really believe Justin Ross can be that guy. And he's got the potential. He's nobody in the draft right now has the college tape that Justin Ross has his freshman and sophomore year. And if the kid can stay healthy, I'm pushing it. I'm buying the hype. Many of you know I started his Facebook fan page last May. It's got 1,000 people on it waiting for him to do something. And I believe in the kid, and I love his upside. I love his potential. But there's always that fear. But if the Chiefs don't, like I said, if we don't make the trade for D-Hop, and if we don't pick up OBJ or draft a wide receiver early, then we have to believe that Justin Ross isn't going to try to make the team as a special teamer like Byron Pringle did in 2019.
We've just been down that road too many times, whether it's a Bobby Scipio, Josh Gordon, Corey Coleman, and with his injury history, you just can't count on it. So even if they believe that he has the potential to become that, you can't put your eggs in that basket. You've got to go fill out your receiver position. And if he gives you anything, it's just extra. It's icing on the cake. Congenital fusion in his spine, condition he was born with called Klippel-Feil syndrome. 2 foot surgeries, November 2021, that had to get it cleaned up before training camp. So he's out all last season, and he can't do anything as far as returning. I feel like he's too big, a little too stiff, and too slow at a 4.63. If anyone's going to make it the receiving core on special teams, it'll be John Ross III, because he's got the fastest 40 time in combine history at 4.22.
I love the potential of these two guys. I really do.
Yeah.
But at this point, that's all it is potential.
Yeah.
That's all
Fair,
it is. I'm definitely looking forward to training camp and off-season programs, especially the May or the June off-season programs, the mini camp, just to see where Justin Ross is, to see where he is in the pecking order, how many snaps he gets, all of that type of stuff.
The snaps were weighted towards Brody Croyle.
Famous last words from Trent Green.
He just had to get out of here as the snaps were weighted.
Mecole, oh my God. Welcome. You
Honey Badgers joining us.
You just missed us trashing Mecole Hardman on his way out the door. You missed all that.
More.
Okay.
We're breaking down stats of Justin Ross and
Perfect
John
timing.
Ross.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not related. What do you have to say about Justin Ross and John Ross and their chances of making the team, Mecole?
I think both guys are like real boom or bust type of guys. Like you got them on very small, contracts. You got a future deal for John Ross. You just kind of get whatever you want out of them. Like if you can get something from John Ross, who's a Southern California guy, who's a speedster, like that is a big plus because we're going to need a special teams guy because I know Sky did his thing in the AFC Championship, but we want to keep him as far away.
You want to go back to that?
Nah, I don't want to go back to that. Nowhere near it. So John Ross can be a steal, and he can be one of those guys that can do a lot of Mecole Hardman type things when it comes to, the different bubble screens and the different actions that he did. So John Ross is really a guy that I'm looking at that I think can maybe find his way onto the roster if he can stay healthy. And Justin Ross is the perfect boom or bust guy because if he balls out, he has a chance to fit that number 1 spot. If not, at least we tried, before any other team got him and he became something, at least the Chiefs got him to see what he was. But I'm really looking at both of them to see if any of them break out because we need wide receivers. Unless we get D
Yes,
that's what I said last year, and apparently we didn't. So
now we do.
Maybe we don't.
Yeah, we don't have Juju. So hopefully, it can work out. One of the Rosses can do it because Ross is a great store. You get a lot of deals at Ross. So hopefully we get a deal with one of these Rosses.
Yeah, we've got another question here. They just want to know our thoughts on MVS. Whoever wants to take this, they said we should trade him, but I don't know kind of what your guys' thoughts are. Can we draft someone? They like MVS. The issue is with the hands. And I've said from the moment he got here, he's a 50% catcher or dropper, however you want to look at that. So he came up big in the AFC Championship game. He's going to stay here. He's already got a celebrity softball game coming up in June. So that kind of let me know that maybe the exit interview, he's like, hey, I want to do the celebrity softball game in the summer. Am I going to be in Kansas City, or do I need to do that for my new city? They're like, no, you're staying here because we're saying bye to Juju and Mecole. Shane, what do you think of MVS?
I think MVS will be here. I think he's done enough to show that he's a good receiver when everybody else is hurt, and you got Marcus Kemp out there, and Brian Buchanan's at the game going, why in the hell's Kemp out there?
Yeah.
So MVS stepped up in the postseason, guys.
He did.
When Patrick Mahomes was in trouble against Jacksonville.
Yep.
When he first hurt his ankle, he caught that touchdown, and he did the same, and he was huge in the AFC Championship game. He didn't get any he only had 1 or 2 passes thrown to him in the Super Bowl, but he didn't have any catches. But he's the guy. He's that guy you need. He's a good depth receiver. And since we are in a dire situation, I think MVS will be here to continue his contract.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw it early. Him and Patrick were kind of rough early on, and they were just trying to find their rhythm. The later the season got, the better MVS was and the more effective he was. And the drops weren't an issue in the second half of the season. He had a few here and there in the first half of the season. But as Shane said, I wanted to mention that Jaguars game because Patrick was hopping around on 1 foot out there, and he threw a touchdown pass to MVS I think it was in that third quarter to kind of separate the Chiefs from the Jaguars in that game. So man, MVS is here to stay at least for this year.
Yeah, he's a really good vertical guy. And he's big, he's a big, tall receiver. He showed them a little bit in that AFC Championship game. I think that they're going to try to bring some of that stuff over into the new year. But at this point, he is what he is. He's a big vertical guy. If you can get any of the underneath stuff, you take advantage of it. But he's not your number one. So I know the Chiefs will be trying to find a number one, so that they can have that guy with him.
A lot of people in the comments are not wanting OBJ or D-Hop. They just want to draft a guy, maybe draft 2 players in the first and second round. Just use up our first and second round picks on wide receivers. I'd be a fan of that. I love the wide receiver position. Just go all in, draft those guys. I want OBJ and D-Hop as well. Get them all. But just Jordan Addison, we got some names here. A.T. Perry, Jalen Hyatt. So there's a lot of guys that are out there that could be good fits here. But what do you guys think? Clint, what do you think about draft versus some of these veterans names we're hearing in D-Hop and OBJ?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting kind of conundrum here. And I'm interested to see what this draft's going to look like for Kansas City, because we filled some key positions here via free agency. Shane mentioned some of the 1-year deals. You sign a Drew Tranquil, you sign a Mike Edwards. You got guys that are fitting into to places where you previously might have needed to draft a tackle, where you get Jawan Taylor. So the Chiefs, I hate to say, it's close to kind of 2020 when the Chiefs had the the free will to let Patrick Mahomes make a draft pick, and he took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Not the best decision in the world, but the Chiefs have some flexibility here to better their team in that fashion. We've talked about this for the last 20 minutes of the show or so, this receiving core, and I think it's important. It's the most important group coming into 2023. I like a lot of these receivers. I like Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. We don't like poor route runners, though, and Jalen Hyatt's kind of a straight line, speed, vertical type of guy like Mecole talked about that we have with MVS. Very similar player, in my opinion. And some of the other ones, I mean, you got the kid from TCU that is going to probably be gone. Zay from Boston College.
Zay Flowers from TCU.
It depends on the run on receivers. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if we do. Do we trust Brett Veach to draft one in the second? I would hate to see that because
I think you have to get a vet, man. I think if you can get
if
you can get D-Hop, you're trying to win, you're trying to win now, and D-Hop, if you can somehow make the contract work,
right,
you have to go and get him. The guy, he's D-Hop, he still showed that he can ball out, where I don't know who was throwing him the ball last year when Kyler was back there. So, I like Jackson from Ohio State, but I don't think that the Chiefs are going to be able to go Like, will the Chiefs trade up to take a wide receiver? I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
You know,
I know with 10 draft picks that the Chiefs aren't going to use all 10, and they will use some of the draft capital to trade up. But this is a draft heavy on defensive pass rushers, not wide receivers. So if you're going to get that guy you want, are you going to have to trade multiple draft picks to move up to get that specific wide receiver that fits your squad? Or do you stay where you're at 31 and at 64 in the second round and get a couple of stud edge rushers? And there's a lot of ways the Chiefs can go in the draft. So I think I understand Veach did. And thank God, we all love Brett Veach. Freaking nailed Pacheco, Josh Williams, Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, all these rookies, Karlaftis, Chanel, all these stud rookies that he freaking drafted were great. But now we're in a situation of, okay, will you be so lucky to do it 2 years in a row at wide receiver? You know what I mean, Mecole? What'd you say, Mecole? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, can he do it again? That's what we're going to be looking.
Is there a rare fourth round wide receiver that we could pick up? Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, let me cut in because I think there's something we're missing here with these wide receivers and with overall of trying to win a championship and satisfying Patrick Mahomes. You want to make sure, and I think this is part of the reason why they are going after these veteran guys and have their name in the mix with a lot of free agents that you see come across the board, but specifically OBJ and D-Hop. Remember when LeBron James left Cleveland the first time? He was pissed off because he didn't have any help. He took Eric Snow and the likes of those guys or not Eric Snow. I forgot who are the other guys on this team in 2007 that he drugged to the NBA Finals.
Boobie Gibson.
Boobie Gibson. There we go. Thank you for that. Eric Snow was the AI reference when he drugged that team to the finals. But you want to make sure that you're sending a message to Patrick Mahomes that, look, we're trying to do all that we can to stay competitive and to win a championship at all costs. We're going to do whatever we can, not to sacrifice the future so much, but we're going to do whatever we can now to make sure we go after the best players and perhaps the players that you like and that you want, that you feel comfortable with in this offense. I think that's part of it, man. I really do, because look, Patrick Mahomes is worth more than $50 million per year, especially in this NFL where they're getting all of this TV money and the salary cap is going up 20 mil or something every single year.
Yep.
He's on a team-friendly deal. We have Patrick Mahomes on the cheap. Let's be honest here. And so you want to make sure that if you're Brett Veach, that we're these draft picks, we don't give a damn. We care about them, but when it comes to getting the best players, we're going to do whatever we can, not to mortgage too much in the future, though. We can't do that, Patrick, because Patrick's not the GM. As great as he is on the field, off the field, he's not the GM. But Brett Veach has to kind of cater to Patrick right now a little bit.
Yeah, just don't give him a choice of who to draft, because then he'll take Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and we all know how that went. So we've got a little fun game to play here. Maybe fun for some of us, not fun for some others. Who are these two former Chiefs? These are years under Andy Reid, both 83 targets. One had 53 catches, one had 59, 511 yards versus 693, both 2 touchdowns. Who are these two former Chiefs with very similar stats under Andy Reid?
One is Jeremy Maclin. And
is Mecole one of them?
I'm really just guessing that. And the other one, I'm guessing both. And the other one under Andy Reid, the other one is it's not Juju had more than that.
Chambers.
Mecole got one of them.
Chris Chambers.
Maybe a little more here. This is their whole 4 years, not just 1 year.
Oh, it was 4 years? Okay.
Well, the last one was just 1 year under Andy Reid. This is their
rushing and receiving. Oh, rushing and receiving. Okay.
Yeah,
one of them is Mecole.
Yeah.
Is the other Clyde?
Debo?
No.
Nah, Debo.
I'll show you the Andy Reid. I'm going to reveal the players. I'll show you the Andy Reid here. What they did here. Dexter McCluster.
Dexter McCluster, that is funny. And why? Hey, don't be disrespecting Mecole like that, man. He did his job.
Hey!
Hold on,
Why is
man.
it
What
disrespect to McCluster?
is this supposed to be a
All
diss?
second-round receivers.
Okay, they did their jobs.
Yeah, they did their job.
They did not do their jobs. That's why they moved on and got chump change from other teams. And Dexter's out of the league, and Mecole will soon be out of the league.
Hey, Mecole said it best. I was brought here, and they had
Don't do
Tyreek
this.
Hill,
Don't do
Travis
this.
Kelce.
He's gonna be 14.
I don't know. That's just somebody's creation. Maybe they just want him to be 14.
Yeah, 14 is nasty, but I hope he doesn't wear that number.
That's I hate that tweet. I do. As a competitor, as like I was like last year, you all tried to give me and Mecole the business for supporting Mecole Hardman. And to be a supporter of his, and for him to say that, like I get bowed down and giving your flowers to folks, but dog, you supposed to, like, you don't see Justin Jefferson saying this. You don't see any, I don't know, man. It rubs me the wrong way. It does.
Yeah, this isn't the first time he made the tweet. He tweeted the same thing last year or 2 years ago. Like, I'm supposed to be good at football when there's other good football players on the roster.
Hey,
Like you're already bowing out to becoming great, and I don't know.
Instead, he is Dexter McCluster. Everyone's saying he's Dexter McCluster.
He was on pace to have a really good season if it wasn't for the freak injury.
I agree. He was gonna have
like
double digit
10, touchdowns. Yeah. So I don't think that, and on that team it was Sammy Watkins, it was Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and then the running backs.
Well, that doesn't make sense because he was better back then. He contributed more as a rookie with those players there.
Or steadily got worse.
So that makes no sense. And let's just be honest. This is a personal for Noah and I, because guys, nobody quite has the story that we do with this situation, which is that we were on the road covering SEC football that entire season. We went to 2 Georgia games. We went to 2 Ole Miss games. Mel Kiper's big board. Noah and I said, when the Chiefs have moved up to pick 56, we said, oh my God, this is DK Metcalf and this is going to be awesome. And so when your story goes back that far and you have those credentials, and not only that, sitting at a wedding with a intoxicated person inside the Chiefs organization that just happened to leak to me that Mecole doesn't work hard and this football thing is, quote, not for him. I think we have the credentials here. And just this once, I don't know how to change a tire, and I'm not the smartest football analyst in the world. And there's been this one position. We were right about Mecole. I'll take that, and that's all I have. Really,
now, you don't know how to change a tire, Clint. Come on, man.
One time, Noah and I and one other person did accomplish it. It took a lot in a YouTube video.
Smoky Mountains.
A lot of YouTube video watching.
And one thing I would say about Mecole in comparison to DK Metcalf, Mecole Hardman has 2 Super Bowls, baby. So that's all that matters.
Yep.
That's
it.
Baby.
We might have more Super Bowls. We'd at least have the 2 if we had DK Metcalf. We might have more.
But DK, where would he have fit in at that time? Like
that's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins spot. Like he wasn't going. You can't do no gadget plays with DK. Like you going to make Tyreek a gadget guy? Like I think Mecole role was played perfectly his first year. After that, they tried to do more with him, where they should have just kept him at the role, do the gadget stuff, be the great special teams guy, making the Pro Bowl and things like that, and they would have got the most out of him. But they were like, all right, let's legitimately make him a number 3 receiver, make him expand his route tree and stuff like that. But you couldn't. He was a similar player to Tyreek Hill, and it just wasn't going to work for him. That's why we thought coming in this year, he was going to just take all of the Tyreek snaps, but they changed the entire offense
because he didn't develop into that, and that's okay. And Mecole, your argument makes some sense, except for when you look at the rest of the draft and the rest of the second round picks. Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, all real receivers, and the Chiefs just wanted one that wasn't the real receiver. Like I don't understand that the idea of that.
Said 2018, we're going around filming our SEC documentary, going to a game every weekend. We went to 2 Ole Miss games, 2 Georgia games. We didn't know who Mecole Hardman was.
Because he had 500 yards receiving as a senior. Nobody did.
DK Metcalf is torching Alabama, getting like an 80.
Fellas, that answers your question, though. But that answers everything that you're critiquing the players for. We know why they drafted him. We know why.
Speed kill.
You got to add the context to that.
Yeah.
Well, the context is it was not the correct mentality to have when making the pick. And we asked Brett Veach about it. We asked Brett Veach about it at the combine. Someone finally had to held his feet to the fire over this situation. Yeah. And this is all, guys, we're talking about probably the best GM in sports right now, Brett Veach. The guy walks on water. But this situation has hampered the receiving core. The reason why we've had this 30-minute conversation is because the guy you took in 2019 that was supposed to be a replacement for Tyreek Hill, which is kind of like trying to replace AC Slater and Saved by the Bell with Doogie Howser, wasn't going to happen. And now you've got to let him go for 1 year, $1.3 million, and we don't have any answers at the position. So it all still relates to today, and we're still kind of living kind of admitting the mistake by letting them go for nothing.
Well, if it means that the Chiefs have been into 5 AFC Championship games at home and 2-1 in the last,
it doesn't mean that move did not make that happen. Because he won in spite of that.
Because he was able. Because Brett Veach was. You're right. I'm saying that. I'm saying in spite of missing on the second round wide receivers or second round altogether, the fact that I don't know, because Creed Humphrey and Nick Bolton look pretty good right about now.
For sure.
We're gonna have to move on from the Mecole talk because he is gone, and the Chiefs really didn't give him a contract. But we have to also remember this is where Brett Veach gets his props, not just because of what he did last year, the fact that he was able to keep the team in flux at the AFC Championship or Super Bowl level in 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Those teams are always in flux. He had to rebuild an offensive line. He had to get wide receivers any way possible. He's kept this team together at this level to where Brett Veach deserves to be where he is, where you say, Clint, where he does walk on water. He is the best. And I know there is some concern about what happened in the second round. John Dorsey drafted Tano Passanio with Juju Smith-Schuster and Alvin Kamara still available.
Brett Veach win a Super Bowl without John Dorsey drafting Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Tyreek Hill?
Well, no, obviously not. But he was in the right place at the right time.
Bit of flowers.
Hey, would before we move on, would Doogie Howser and Jesse Spano make a good couple?
Actually, yes, except for, well, as we found out in The Hangover 2, I believe Doogie Howser may or may not go for Jesse Spano. But yes, in that world, yeah.
Mecole was the Screech Powers of the Kansas City Chiefs. I love that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mecole gave us a spark in that AFC division game, so that was huge.
You guys have what? Yeah, that was 4 years ago. I mean, this is unbelievable. That's how we have to.
1 or 2 moments for Mecole's 4-year career here in Kansas City as a second-round pick, supposed to be a real wide receiver.
That Super Bowl got us going in the right direction, and first of all, he made the big kick return against the Chargers to make sure that we got the second seed. And
Mecole was good as a rookie, guys. Mecole was a very serviceable player. Remember the jump pass touchdown against the Titans? You remember he had a post pattern against the Patriots early in that game when the Chiefs fell down early after a trick play from the Patriots. Mecole Hardman was very serviceable as a rookie, absolutely. And so that's where I guess I'm just wondering where it went, what happened. I mean, that's all. And
okay.
Obviously, he didn't work hard at it. He didn't continue, and I just don't know why he couldn't at least keep that level. He kind of declined as he went. And he had some moments here and there, but as an overall receiver, he never developed into what he needed to be to still be here in Kansas City.
And now we have a hole in the roster here that we were trying to fill this offseason. So maybe Mecole, maybe Mecole, we just go find another one, and we got to have a do we have to have a gadget person? That's another question. Is that necessity?
I think Cordarius.
Well, you got Sky Moore, you got Kadarius, so maybe we're good there.
Those are the 2 gadget guys. Now you need a number 1 that's kind of that can win one-on-ones. When Travis is getting double team, you need a guy that can win one-on-ones and make people pay. Yeah, and that's where I think that's where I think
that's what we were missing last year. I know we won a Super Bowl, so it doesn't really matter. But situationally, in some moments, games were always close. because we didn't have that guy who Mahomes could trust to win one-on-one quickly and give a quick answer to Mahomes when he's in trouble.
That guy, and I'm taking the floor here, that guy is Jerick McKinnon, and the Chiefs need to get a deal done with him quick because somebody is going to take Jerick McKinnon just to keep him from Kansas City. Everybody's like, oh, Jerick McKinnon, he'll be back. He'll be back. Nope, I don't believe that. I think if Jerick McKinnon gets a good deal, he's gone. I don't want to hear, well, he's been injury prone. He's 31. No. So the Chiefs need to, here's what needs to happen, damn it. Excuse my language, but
hey, I love it.
The Chiefs need to hurry up and get Chris Jones' deal done.
Agreed.
That deal should have been done the first couple of days of free agency. When he tweeted, I'm a Chief for life before free agency began, that deal should have been done. Make him the highest paid. Do what you can. Spread that money around so you can work with signing Jerick McKinnon because Jerick McKinnon was that guy in the goal line. Jerick McKinnon was the guy catching 9 touchdown passes in the red zone. We didn't need Jerick McKinnon made it easier for us to say goodbye to Tyreek Hill and to deal with Mecole Hardman's shortcomings. Jerick McKinnon has a rapport with Patrick Mahomes that when he's moving around in the pocket and stuff's breaking down, Jerick McKinnon's right there. They can make the move and bust it. No, he's not a freaking 22 carry game guy, but Jerick McKinnon is the difference maker that needs to be addressed and needs to be brought back to this team. Yeah. I posted on my own Facebook, the Chiefs need to bring back Jerick McKinnon. And you know who liked that post? Byron Pringle. Because Byron Pringle knows how important Jerick McKinnon is to the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm president of the Byron Pringle fan club.
I think we might have that guy.
Jerick McKinnon needs to come back because, like I said, somebody's going to give him a freaking deal, and he's not going to come back. I don't like people thinking, Jerick McKinnon, yeah, he's going to come back. He's going to come back. There's no guarantee, man. There's no guarantee. Get this deal done. This is my only concern this offseason or the last 6 weeks is that the Chiefs have not extended Chris Jones yet. Get it done so we can get Jerick McKinnon back to Kansas City. He's the difference maker with Mecole Hardman struggling. He's made it easier for us to get rid of Tyreek Hill. Get this deal done with Chris Jones. What you got, Mecole?
Tyler, you beat me to it. I was going to say I think that might be Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's role. They might be like, all right, we know he's not a number one guy. We got Pacheco, but we saw what he was doing catching passes earlier in the year. They might want to lean on him to be a little bit more of that role. Only thing is he can't block like Jerick McKinnon, who's one of the better blocking backs in the NFL. But I think that McKinnon, I think the Chiefs are going to have a chance to get him back. We already know it's going to be a lot of running backs drafted. Somebody's going to have to really want McKinnon if they want to take him from the Chiefs. If not, I think he slides right back to us.
He didn't sign here till June last year, right?
Guys in the draft, Evan Hull out of Northwestern, or Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State in the 5th or 6th round. Both of those guys are supposed to go, and they could be replacements because they're great at catching the ball in the backfield.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. I think the Chiefs are going to the draft with a new McKinnon. I do.
I hate that. I hate that.
I'll listen to it. Even in the first round, Bijan Robinson?
Yeah.
If he's there, take him. If he's there, take him.
Yeah, him or
take the best player. Take the best player, bro.
Yeah. I feel like we won't just because of the CEH situation. Yeah.
Clyde's gone. Clyde went to a model thing instead of going to the parade. I mean, come on. I know they could say, well, he had plans to go to this modeling show before the parade, but the parade, as Tim Gronard said, a parade is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Freaking winning a Super Bowl and having a parade isn't always guaranteed. And the fact that he thought, well, I'm going to go to New York and go to this modeling show. He was inactive for the Super Bowl. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not happy. Again, I can't speak for him totally, but I got a good hunch once he said, hey, guys, I'm going to New York. I'm going to skip the parade that he's done as a Chief.
Someone else who isn't happy is Shane Williams because we've got some jersey numbers that have changed, and he owns a Joshua Williams number 23, and now he's number 2. No!
Hey, he did say on Twitter he'd make it up to me. I don't know how, but we'll see what happens. But he's number 2, and Trent McDuffie is number 22 is a Washington number, but now,
I like the 21 for Trent, man. I don't know.
Yeah, but now with Trent McDuffie 22 and Josh Williams number 2, the $1 million question is, what member of the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be number 0?
Right.
Look, I hate that.
I hate it too, Brian.
I hate it.
Yeah.
0 is not a number. It is nothing. It's nothing.
Especially in football. Especially in
God.
football.
Yeah, that's a basketball number. I
Yeah.
don't even like any of the number changes. I wish we
David
would go
Arenas.
back to
I do
the
too.
way that we had it. The 50s for the
too.
linebackers.
Real wide receivers wear 80 numbers.
80.
Yeah.
Yes.
Real wide receivers wear 80s.
Thank
Just
you.
ask Justin Watson.
Justin Watson.
No, I agree with that. The number changes are bizarre. And I mean, I
Yeah.
guess if you can make a kicker or a punter 0, I'm good with that. But now they want to make kickers so that they can be 49 or 99 or
You know what they should do with 0? They should just go full-fledged baseball in the 90s, right? They should just let Andy Reid come out in full uniform, shoulder pads and everything, helmet, everything, all right? And the coaches can be number 0. They should do it like that.
I like that. I like that.
Guys, before we get into our last segment, kind of picking our random favorite Chiefs and our least favorite Chiefs. Before we get into that, I want to go to this video of Tamba Hali and George Karlaftis working out. It's very short, and get guys' thoughts on that after.
That's it, man. Appreciate you. You're welcome, bro.
Brian, what do you make of Tamba Hali? We saw him on the field going through work with Joey Bosa back in the day. He was teaching Joey Bosa some moves. Now he's doing it for our own guys, George Karlaftis. I expect big things, and I love seeing this.
You see George Karlaftis adding more tools to his tool belt. That's what he's doing instead of the bull rush, which he is a master at. He's going to try to use his arms and try to get defender or offensive lineman to not touch him. That's what I tell my little defensive line on my Kansas City Seminoles. Don't let them touch you. And that's what that's all about. You don't want those offensive linemen to get those big paws on you, because if they do, then it's pretty much over for you. But it's good to see Karlaftis working with one of the greats in Tamba Hali and trying to become a better player instead of sitting at home and eating snacks. He wants a taste of another Super Bowl, and we're not done in Kansas City. We want more too. So it's good to see him putting in the work.
And
So
Tamba's a technician.
Route then. He's going a different route.
Tamba Hali, guys, is a technician. When he came out of Penn State, what they talk about? Hand placement, hand speed. He's a technician and one of the most underrated Chiefs of the last probably 15 years. Tamba Hali, man, and it's great to see it.
Hey.
Love Tamba juice.
Another thing too, like to me, that's Karlaftis's comp.
No,
in my opinion, is Tamba Hali with the motor situation. You saw it; he was relentless in a lot of plays this year, and same with MVS. You saw as the season got later, George Karlaftis got a whole lot better, especially during the playoffs.
Love it.
Next year, Shane, 18.5 sacks. You called it for his rookie year. Next year.
Can we get double digits? Double digits next year.
Yeah, they'll predict in August. But I love seeing it together. Like you said, that's what we heard about Karlaftis coming out. He's got a motor like Tamba Hali, and the fact that Tamba Hali is working together with him. I mean, come on, let's bring him into the NWO Wolfpack now. We're perfect. We're ready. Let's do it.
I love it.
Don't turn your back.
Bless.
Lined up in a box back.
And stick around for this one because we have one more little segment. We always like to, especially in the off season, we like to have some fun and just kind of reminisce, talk about some former Chiefs players that we liked, maybe that we didn't like. So we're going to go to that right now. And it's not necessarily, these were horrible players or people that were just disasters. It's like for us personally, like I didn't like a guy for a certain reason or, whatever it may be. We're also going to have some lighthearted stuff, some fun stuff. So I think I'm going to start with you, Brian. I think that's you. Yes, it is.
Hey,
These are
I had to go with Joe Delaney. Come on now, like the legend Joe Delaney. And when I say legend, I mean the legend of legends. If you don't know the story of Joe Delaney, in his I think it was before his second season with the Chiefs.
After second,
or it was after his second season. Thank you for that, Shane.
Yeah.
Down in Louisiana, there were some kids playing around a body of water. They went into they eventually made it to the middle where they didn't know how to swim. Joe Delaney saw it. He went in, saved the kids, but he drowned. Joe Delaney unfortunately lost his life saving 3 lives. And that's why Joe Delaney is the GOAT of all GOATs. And besides the fact that, to me, Shane, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but he was looking like the second coming of Walter Payton on the football field. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like almost Jamal Charles-like speed.
Mhm.
He was a great player. And
Indeed.
when he died, it set the Chiefs back a lot because him along with Makovich, right, was the coach. He was definitely gonna do some special things with Joe Delaney.
Right.
So yeah, look up the story of Joe Delaney. Please go look that up. Tyler Thigpen, go back to that 2008 season, and the Chiefs could have won the division. I'm telling you.
Either the Mecole Hardman question.
The Chiefs could have won a division in 2008. They were on the bad side of a lot of bad luck that year. But my man Tyler Thigpen, another GOAT, in my opinion, because he saved that 2-14 season that we had in 2008. God, that was terrible. Look, we could have we was ahead of Brett Favre and the Jets that year when Brandon Flowers got him a little pick six action in the Meadowlands. But yeah, Tyler Thigpen, love that guy. And Ed Podolak, got to put him on there. Still, I think he still has the Chiefs record for most yards in a game. Am I right about that, Shane?
Yeah, the playoff game in 71.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Christmas game against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Number 14, Ed Podolak, one of my father's favorite players as well. One of the cast of characters from those early 70s Chiefs teams. And my least favorite Chiefs. Oh, let's go into that. At Gaines Furniture Outlet, at our store, everyone gains. Everyone gained on Philip Gaines.
I love these picks.
Peyton Manning. Especially Peyton Manning. Oh, my God. He gave me so many aneurysms. Philip Gaines, I am glad that you, number one, don't wear that beautiful number of 23 anymore. And number two, that you're not associated with the Kansas City Chiefs no more. Thank you, but your services are no longer needed. Number two, Eric Hicks, Mr. I couldn't stop the damn bootleg ever in my life. Another guy who I loathe. I'm sorry, man. I'm pretty sure he's a great guy off the field. He's probably a stand-up father, great uncle. If he's a grandfather, he's probably a delightful grandfather too. Probably a stand-up guy off the field. On the field, he was dumpster juice. Grade A, organic, USDA certified, Kansas City dumpster juice.
And he played here forever.
Forever. And I don't understand why. I get like Dick
I think his
Vermeil.
rookie year, he had 14 sacks or something.
Oh, what? Oh, I have to look that up. I have to look that up.
What?
Because Jake Plummer used to wear his ass out on those bootlegs and a host of other quarterbacks.
Yeah, we asked Jake Plummer about that the other day.
Oh, Eric Hicks, you couldn't stop a nosebleed. And Harvey Williams, this SOB right here. How dare you, you long neck bastard, betray the Kansas City Chiefs to want to go to the Los Angeles Raiders. Not even the Oakland Raiders. Not even the Vegas Raiders, but the Los Angeles Raiders. You get up out of here. That's why you didn't last here, but he was here for what? 2 years? 3 seasons? We had better running backs on our practice squad, Harvey Williams. You went to Los Angeles and didn't do anything.
I love these picks. I love each and every one of
we
these
got to go to you because one of Brian's least favorite Chiefs might be one of your favorites. So
Oh yeah,
we got to go here.
let's
Are
talk
you
about it.
serious? Listen are you
Listen
serious?
to me. You gotta listen to me. So with me being
Did he
a big
donate
time,
money to your fund or something?
and me being a big time Madden player, these were the guys I cheered and rooted for so bad so that they can become dominant Madden guys. Philip Gaines was a guy that was a speedster on Madden. I'm like, man, he was like a real sticky corner at the beginning of his career. The injuries, he became terrible. But he was a guy I was like, man, with his speed on Madden, if he can become a 90, a serviceable guy, I am going to be dangerous online with this guy. Same for Jeff Webb, who was like a 6th-round pick from San Diego State, Southern California guy.
We have a nickname for Jeff Webb. Jeff 1 Foot Webb. He always got 1 foot in bounds.
If he would have got his foot down that game against Green Bay, it would have changed his career. He would have been the next Debo. So he was another guy that was a target on Madden. I'm like, if he can only improve. And then the biggest cheat code I feel in Madden history was DJ Alexander, because he had like 89 speed as a linebacker on Madden. So I used to root for him so bad with him next to Derrick Johnson that he will become a great, great linebacker.
I like DJ.
So that I can be super. This is all my Madden guys, and I need them to be great because I only play with one team on Madden, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. My least favorites, it's LaShawn McCoy.
Good
I
one.
thought we were getting shady, and he was quite shady for real. This is the way that he's talking about the enemy and things like that. He wasn't the guy that I expected. John Baldwin, he was a guy who was drafted to be the another guy with Debo who just never panned out, and I was so disappointed in this guy. He made did he make a big catch in his career? I remember a game versus
He did
Yes.
against the Chargers.
Chargers.
Halloween
against-
night.
And against Denver.
It just didn't count. The Denver one didn't count.
Oh, it's
Yeah, Denver one didn't count. So I was just so disappointed in him because I felt that we had something. Our defense was really good. And then Matt Castle, this guy used to piss me off so much to see him out there playing. I'm thinking like, man, what he did with the Patriots, we might have a chance to have the poor man's Tom Brady, and he was really the poor man without the Tom Brady attitude.
Homeless man's Tom Brady.
He let me down so much, man. I thought Matt Castle was going to be something for the Chiefs, and he was terrible. But I should have known. Here in Southern California, he couldn't even start for the USC Trojans.
Right.
And we believed in him. So those would be the three of my least favorite Chiefs of all time.
Got Holland. Then I guess we'll go Shane. We'll get your list up here, my friend.
Phillip Gaines was Peyton Manning's favorite receiver.
My favorite random, not a star, favorite Chiefs players are number one, J.J. Burton. When the Chiefs, when Marty Schottenheimer came here and we were just trying to figure out who the players were, you know, you looked at number 88 and you thought of Carlos Carson, as Scott Holland just said here in the comments.
Yeah.
But J.J. Burton was Carlos Carson's replacement. You know, he was speedy. And when J.J. Burton got the ball in his hands, whether it was Dave Craig or Steve DeBerg, Dave Craig, or Joe Montana throwing him the football, he was fun to watch in those 4 seasons in 90, 91, 92, and 93. J.J. Burton suffered an injury his final year under contract with the Chiefs in 94. Well, he played 90, 91, 92, 93, 94. He played 5 seasons, I'm sorry. But he got hurt in 1994 in October. He came back from his injury, but he felt that hurt him in the contract negotiations with the Falcons. The Falcons gave him a monster contract. He tried to come back and get it from Carl Peterson, but Carl Peterson wasn't going to match what the Falcons offered him, and he was gone. And we really could have used J.J. Burton in 1985 when we had to get Webster Slaughter to fill in, but I'm not going to get off on that. J.J. Burton was explosive. He was important. He made a lot of big catches, not only in the regular season, but in the postseason in 1993 from Joe Montana.
The Oilers game.
Say it again.
In that Oilers game.
Yes, and that diving catch
sir.
in the corner of the end zone when he burned Rod Woodson in the wild card round.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here at Arrowhead. That was huge too. And the second one was the number 1 draft pick out of University of Tennessee in April of 1992.
Love Dale.
Dale Carter. He
That
was
was true.
great. He had swagger. And our first year defensive secondary coach was the first to hype him up. As soon as he was drafted, they went to our new secondary coach, Herm Edwards, to break down the reason why he pushed so hard for Dale Carter. And he said the kid is physical. He's got swagger. He's got a lot of style. He's going to make a difference. And damn, if Herm Edwards doesn't know secondary, he knows secondary.
I
Herm
remember
Edwards
the second time
drafted
Dale
Dale
Carter, Gunther Cunningham said it was Julian Battle.
He loves
Lord.
secondary. And
Oh,
Dale
my
Carter,
God.
Dale Carter was a freaking animal. He
Frank
came in-
Zombo. Look at that.
Dale Carter was great.
Yes.
And I love the guy. I love how he played. I wish he was here from 1992 to 1998. The Broncos gave him a monster contract in 1999, and he wasn't really the same, but he still played. He still played through 2005. So Dale Carter had a long career, but we love him as a Chief. And from 1992 to 1998, he was probably one of the best cornerbacks in the league. He didn't have the pressure when Dale Carter came in. He didn't have the pressure on him because he had Kevin Ross to Albert Lewis to learn from. But when we moved on from Kevin Ross and Albert Lewis, she put James Hasty with Dale Carter. That secondary was unstoppable. Danny Copeland is a personal favorite. Back in 1989, I worked at the Blue Ridge Mall, and Danny Copeland would always come in, and he was a free safety, and he was also a kick returner in 1989. He was backup. I got to know him personally, and he gave me and Johnny Willoughby, a friend I worked with, tickets to go to a game in 1990, and we made him a big sign that you can see in some of the highlights of the Derek Thomas 7-sack game. You see a sign that says Copeland Watch. You see that sign on some of the highlights when Warren Moon passed for 527 yards on the corner of the end zone. You could see our Copeland Watch sign. Danny Copeland was a great guy. He was stand-up. He went to Washington in 1992 in a Plan B free agency and won himself a Super Bowl as a starting safety. He couldn't get on the starting roster back in in 91 when he left, but he was a great guy, really cool. I wish I could reach out to him today, but he's not on social media. But I love Danny Copeland. He was really cool to us. Now the least favorite. You guys ready?
Blue Ridge Mall, underrated mall, by the way.
Heck yeah, buddy. Thank you. Frank Zombo. Oh my gosh, the worst freaking pass rusher I've ever seen in my life. When he was out on the field with Bob Sutton's defense, when Tom Bahali or Justin Houston needed a breather, you knew we were in trouble. And the game against the Tennessee Titans when we were up 21-3 in 2017 and we lost because Derrick Henry ran us over in the second half. It was 3rd and 10. All we needed to do was hold them to a field goal or force them to punt with 1 minute left, and they handed off. And when they handed off, Marcus Mariota pancake blocked Frank Zombo, spree Derrick Henry for the necessary 12 yards to went to clinch the game, and that hurt. That hurt. I was like, oh my gosh, Frank Zombo, what an embarrassment. He never did a thing. And it hurt. The fact that he did that hurt. Then in 2018, to add salt to the wound, the Chiefs in the middle of the 2018 season, while Bob Sutton and the Chiefs defense were steamrolling their way to 32, they picked him back up and brought him back to the team. I was working 12 hours at my day job that day, and I had to sit and think and pray for about 10 minutes because I thought I was going to have a come apart. I thought, I can't believe we just picked Frank Zombo back up. He sucks. Why'd we get him? Why'd we bring him back? But I digress. He's gone. Second is Ryan Sims. Wow. He was supposed to be the next Warren Sapp. He came here, paycheck player, took his money and laid down. The next person, Tyson Jackson. 3rd overall pick in the 2009 draft, paycheck player, took his money and laid down. When Scott Pioli asked specifically why he wanted to go with Tyson Jackson at that spot, Scott Pioli's early on as a general manager said, Tyson Jackson is the kind of player that I can trust with that contract, taking that money. And I'm thinking, what kind of talent evaluator is that? You trust him with the money he's going to make?
It wasn't.
He sucked.
That was his first pick.
He sucked. Ryan Sims and Tyson Jackson had no heart, which helps me reiterate the fact that we need Chris Jones back really bad.
And he's been waiting in the waiting room this whole time watching everybody. Welcome to the show, Tyson Jackson.
Tyson Jackson.
From LSU.
Ooh.
But that's my list. Love it or leave it. I'm not going to change it.
I love it.
Clint, let's go.
Well, we did forget to kind of reiterate at the beginning that these are kind of our kind of personal favorites, like random players. Like, obviously, we're not throwing out Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Derek Thomas. These are like
It's easy. We don't have the same list, so these are just
Yes.
personal favorites.
personal favorites.
Yes, sir.
Tim Barnett. We talked about J.J. Burden. I
What a
figured Shane.
catch.
Yeah, we're talking about the 4th and goal in the wild card playoff game against the Steelers in 1994.
What a
That
throw.
catch and that moment from Montana to Barnett stands out to me. Barnett would not return after 93 because of a off the field alleged incident at a hotel room. And Tim still lives in Liberty, and we need to try to have him on the show sometime. He's next door neighbor of my friend John, and I'm just really enjoyed that receiving core. My early Chiefs fandom of the early 90s. Shane, you mentioned J.J. Burden. He's up there for me too. I think I was going to put Willie Davis on mine. I thought I might let Noah have that one if he's going to have it. Little teaser. Kavika Mitchell. There's certain players that you just remember. He was a 2nd round pick out of, I believe, South Florida. And that was the year Mike Maslowski got hurt in 2003. And Kavika Mitchell came in. The defense just kept getting worse. But I always thought Mitchell had a big upside. I believe he wound up winning a Super Bowl with the 2007 Giants, along with Larry Tynes, the kicker from those teams. Very
And
strange.
Dave Tollefson.
Yes,
former Northwest Missouri State Bearcat,
That's
baby.
right. That's
Once
right.
a Bearcat, always a Bearcat.
And I had to go back to somebody in 1990, and then a defensive player in the early 90s. We all know Derek Thomas, Dan Lemuah, Shane mentioned Dale Carter and Neil Smith.
Phillips
Those guys
was a beast.
Joe Phillips in the middle.
Beast.
He may be a fugitive on the run today, but back in the early 90s, he was someone near and dear to my heart. Loved the way he played, that whole defense up front.
How about the visor?
The visor meant a lot to me because I love Leslie O'Neal's for the Chargers too. So, and Joe Phillips was a former Charger. So those are kind of three that stand out to me. Least favorite, Mecole Hardman's number one of all time for me for reasons we
come on, man.
We've already
Stop it.
Don't do my dog Sammy Parker like that though. Don't do Sammy.
No. I'm going to say one thing. We just had a comment in here that said, "Don't beat a dead horse. It's not funny anymore." Mecole Hardman.
That's my bro Chris.
It was someone that needs to come back in here and face me face to face because the Arrowhead allies haven't spoken since Mecole Hardman went to the Jets last week. This is the first time we're getting to it, and he happens to be on my all-time 3 least favorite Chiefs. He's not one of the 3 worst Chiefs of all time. Sabby Piscatelli's not on this list. Do you see him? Okay, that's one of the worst.
Where's Andy Studebaker?
Hey, he recovered that drop snap by Phillip Rivers. That was a big play.
For the reasons and the credentials that I mentioned from following this story from the get-go and having a backstory to it, unlike a lot of Chiefs fans that didn't know who Mecole Hardman or DK Metcalf were or any of the receivers were. It's just he is Chief. He is best. That's what that guy that you know, Brian, must be doing. So that's fine. He can come face to face if he wants to. Okay, deal. This is the last time.
Yeah.
This will be the last time. You got it. I agree. Common ground.
After this show, no more Mecole.
Absolutely. Deal.
You can't do Sammy Parker like that, though.
Are you kidding me? Sammy Parker, the player, the 3rd-round pick out of Oregon, same kind of situation. But you know what, Brian? He came in here in a game. Tony Gonzalez almost killed him in a game against the Lions in 2007, if you recall. Now, most of us don't recall because that season was so
Detroit.
Formidable. At Detroit, the Chiefs
we got beat by John Kidner.
Yeah, it was like a 1-win Lions team. And Brody Crowell got hurt. Damon Heward had to come in. It was an all-out disaster. John Welborn got called for an offensive pass interference in that game. That's how laughable it was, okay? Sammy Parker was a disaster. He was a joke, didn't take the game seriously. He was laughing as he fell to the ground on the final play of the game. Bummer, we lost, ha-ha. Tony Gonzalez about snatched him up by the bootstraps there, had some words with him. I hated Sammy Parker. Also, a key fumble against the Giants in 2005 that cost the Chiefs a trip to the playoffs that year. Not really
at
that
New
playing.
York. That was on a Saturday night. I remember we lost by like 10 points that game.
Yeah, Tiki Barber set a record, 200-plus yards rushing.
Yeah.
And Sammy Parker on that fumble said, ha, 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 this is not a fumble. Get the replay. The replay officially shows it's a fumble. We lose. Bummer, out of the playoffs. Sammy Parker, please never show your face around me again. And Glenn Dorsey, I put him in there because Shane had Tyson Jackson. I'd already seen that Shane had Tyson Jackson and Ryan Sims, which are both in mine. I didn't want to put Eddie Freeman. Didn't figure a lot of people would know who that was. So Glenn Dorsey, 1st-round pick out of LSU. The Chiefs did it 2 years in a row. 2 defensive tackles out of LSU, and they were both busts. Glenn Dorsey was playing out of position. He was quickly traded, and his career here will remain infamy.
Yo, Glenn, I got love for Glenn Dorsey. I remember I was at America's Pub because we was doing a remote with the radio station, and we was kind of hosting. Like whenever I go to the club or whatever, I get the mic and I host and I do my thing. And Glenn Dorsey came to the club. Him and I forgot who was the other D tackle. I don't know. I think it might have been Turk McBride or something. Anyway, I don't know. They was just
4th least favorite Chief.
No, don't do that.
But
look, you got moments where you was like, damn, I know I wasn't supposed to be an athlete. Like Glenn Dorsey, his hands and arms, they're like hooks, like or hooves, like big elephant hooves, like God, Lord have mercy, like you are a mammoth of a person. Like I like Glenn Dorsey, he's a good dude.
Yeah, some of these guys can be good dudes off the field and stuff, but we're just talking about their play on the field for the majority of them, I think, here. My list, my 3 random favorite Chiefs. Willie Davis, number 1. That's the reason kind of I became a Chiefs fan. Like my family wasn't really into sports, and if they were, it was going to Royals games, and I was not part of that scenario or scene. So I saw Willie Davis, I can't even remember what game it was, but make a diving catch down the right sideline. And from then I was just like, the acrobat, that's better than any baseball thing I've ever seen on a field. So I was hooked into football right there. Number 2, Tamarick Vanover, just kick returns. I hadn't really seen a lot of that growing up as a Chiefs fan, and to see Tamarick Vanover take that over and win games late, it just hooked me right there. And then number 3, Casey Printers making chicken salad out of chicken. You know what?
Casey.
I love him to make the team and to be our guy, but unfortunately he couldn't really take a snap from under center. He kept fumbling snaps. He had an issue with that, and so he was cut pretty quickly in preseason. My 3 least favorite Chiefs. Number 1, William Barty. I've talked about this before. Burnt toast, worst corner I've ever seen in the National Football League. Maybe the worst player I've ever seen in the National Football League. Number 2, Daniel Sorensen. He had some moments here and there, picking some passes off late in games.
Why do you have Alex on there?
I'll get to that.
Be nice about Alex, man.
But he blew too many coverages as Daniel Sorensen did, and as Tyrann Mathieu was throwing his hands up, he was copying me because I was already doing the same thing. Number 3, Alex Smith. I did have Eric Hicks on this list, but I saw Brian had him, and I didn't want to be redundant, so I took my number 4 slot and moved him up to number 3, and that is Alex Smith. I despise the way that man played the quarterback position. It was everything I hate about a game manager and quarterbacks that I see out there, just trying to play it safe, take what the defense gives you, even if it's 3rd and 17 and you throw it for 2 yards, like Kirk Cousins just did in the playoffs against the Giants. So I despise the way I felt like all of Chiefs Kingdom was like in on this joke, and I wasn't in on it. I was on the outside looking in. I wasn't a part of it because people were like, hey, we can win with Alex Smith. This is good. We were 2-14. We went to 11-5. We got our quarterback. We're doing great things here. And I was like, we're not winning a Super Bowl, so I don't know how excited I'm supposed to get about this because we can't win anything with Alex. We can't win anything meaningful. So I was a bump on a log for a lot of those games in the Alex Smith era.
You know, I didn't realize how great of a quarterback you needed until we got Patrick Mahomes.
That's a good point.
I'll admit it because I thought I look back now like, wow, you were really a fool to believe like that team was going to the Super Bowl. like the 2016 Chiefs, that was the best Alex Smith team. They went 12-4.
I think 15 might have been because they won.
They didn't have Jamal that year.
They lost.
Well, they didn't have Jamal. Yeah, they didn't have Jamal 16 either. They just for a few games, but. Yeah. Man, that 16 team was really good, and I really thought it was going to the bowl. And I look back now, I'm like, nah, no way.
With Alex, we weren't winning the Super Bowl unless everything went right.
Yeah. And now pretty much everything else goes wrong, and we still win Super Bowls. So I prefer this. I prefer this.
That's why we love 15, baby.
But Alex Smith, I mean, what a great guy. And he, at the time, coming in 13, provided the needed stability. And we, no one and I were wanting to draft Geno Smith. And you can laugh about that if you want. Geno's kind of had a career resurgence. But, Alex, I get what Noah's saying about just like that style of football. And Alex was just the antithesis of what Mahomes is and what these guys are now. Can you imagine Alex Smith fitting into the NFL today? He's only like 40 years old.
He'd be. I mean, what's the difference between him and Brock Purdy?
Yeah, him and Brock Purdy are very similar players. It's just with Alex, you have to have everything right around him. You got to have, the perfect running game, perfect receivers, perfect defense. Then you make him win a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Damn it! So Alex could have done it, but you just need too many perfects for that to happen.
Right. Well, Patrick Mahomes is able to, when things go bad, he's able to change momentum. And when it's like games like the AFC Championship game, as well as the Super Bowl, and the games are going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, you're getting hit, you punch back. You get hit, you punch back. You don't have that with Alex Smith. It's just how it is. It's sad but true.
You're right. When you see, games like Chiefs Bills last year in the playoffs and how you have
Alex
to just
Smith wasn't winning that game.
Alex
Smith, no,
100%.
or the Super Bowl. But yeah.
And that's not to say that Alex Smith and what he's done, he was absolutely one of the smartest people you'd ever be around, a really high IQ guy, a wonderful family man, and what he went
Everybody
through
loves him.
with his nobody dislikes Alex Smith, and really the fact that he had the career he did have is a minor miracle because as a former number 1 overall pick, he was close to busting out of the league. Until Jim Harbaugh got there and got him going, and then they had the Colin Kaepernick situation. He got hurt. Kaepernick comes in. They still go to the Super Bowl, and Alex continues he was throwing interceptions. Once he kind of learned this to stay in his lane, he was able to become a functioning NFL quarterback. It just wasn't one that was going to get you to the ultimate prize. But back then, that was another era. That's Manning and Brady and Roethlisberger, and nobody was getting in front of those guys.
Definitely.
So interesting conversation. Guys, interesting show. Thanks for being a part of it. We got the draft coming up in just 4 short weeks. It's going to be exciting here on Arrowhead Allies. We're going to have a lot more for you coming up. So stay tuned for it. We always appreciate it.
Well, coming up, we like I said, when we come back in 2 weeks to do another free agency show, we're going to be that close to the draft, and maybe we can throw in some mocks. But what I want to touch on is another possibility. I know we're wrapping up the show here, so I'll try to be real quick. When we look at signings like Drew Tranquil, will that make the Chiefs think about trading Willie Gay? Will that make the Chiefs so because Brett Veach next year in 12 months, he's going to have to think about, do I pay L'Jarius Sneed, Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey? So there could be a chance. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to predict it's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, but there could be a chance with Drew Tranquil signing this 1-year contract that Willie Gay could be traded. I know I said L'Jarius Sneed could be traded. That's something to think about as well. Just hypotheticals that we're throwing out there. We'll be back here in 2 weeks to break it down. What do you think, Noah?
Absolutely. That's what I'm thinking here, 2 weeks. So, Clint, if you want to wrap it up, we thank everybody for watching and commenting, and we love it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All the allies together as one again. The mega powers explode when we say to do it, and we enjoy it. Off season is upon us. Enjoy it. I guess enjoy WrestleMania. Enjoy the baseball things or whatever that's happening. Enjoy it all. Thank you guys so much.
Let's go Royals.
Go Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes.